Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to the first RUPS session. My name is Michael. I'm a developer at iText. Let me just check because it seems to be doing okay. Sorry there, had some potential streaming issues. Okay, hi guys, hi Captain Dust, hi Andre. Hope everything is going smoothly in the stream. So this is a RUPS session, meaning that we are going to highlight how to use RUPS, and we'll see how I came about a solution, or at least the cause of an issue last night. So first of all, let's take a look at the actual problem. So last night, Tim Allison, a developer from Apache Tika, give him a follow on. Okay, thank you, Captain. The stream does seem good. Give him a follow at T. Allison. Excuse me there. He posted last night that calling all devs, PDF devs, both commercial and open source, take a look at the file attached to this issue. And he mentions that it causes an infinite loop in a bunch of tools, etc. So going to the issue tracker of Apache, what we see here is an infinite loop in extract text. So we are trying to extract text on a specific PDF file. So apparently there's an infinite loop somewhere. So first things first, let's download the PDF file. And well, the first indication is that the viewer here is already struggling to open this file. Let's see if I can download it. There we go. Okay. Let me just put it on my desktop for now. And let's call it map.pdf, because that is what Apache calls it in their issue tracker. Okay, an infinite loop, that's something that you don't see very often in PDF files itself. But after running it through iText, iText also gives you an exception on this file. And we'll see, once we start looking through the actual PDF file in RUPS, we'll see what's going on there. So this is RUPS. It's a PDF debugging tool, PDF inspection tool. So what you would do is you would open a PDF file in this, and you would see the internals of a PDF file. It's not going to render anything. It's going to show you how a PDF file is constructed. So RUPS is a free tool that you can use from our website, from our GitHub repos. So just go to our GitHub page, github.com/itext, and you'll find RUPS under our projects. So if we open up our file, you can do that through drag and drop. So I'm going to open up the map.pdf file. And then you get the main view of RUPS. So in the left hand, just to clarify how RUPS works, on the left hand side you have a big panel. Basically, it's a tree view of a PDF. A PDF you can visualize it somewhat as a tree for simplification purposes. And you can navigate through that tree. So for instance, the info dictionary here, the info dictionary contains metadata from a PDF file. It's the old style. It's the 1.7 and earlier style of containing metadata. And in this dictionary, for instance, you would find the producer line, you would find the creator, when it's been created, the date of qualification, and anything else that a viewer will include, or a processor or creator will include. The bulk of the document is within the root node, which then contains, in this case, only the pages. But under this, you would also find the forms, if there's any. You would also find the structure tree if your PDF file is tagged, for instance. On the right-hand side here, you find some shortcuts. These tabs will show you, for instance, in this case, I'm highlighting the Pages tab. And if you click Object 4, Page 1, then on the left-hand side, it will jump to the first page. So obviously, in this PDF file, this is not very convenient because you only have one page. But imagine that you have a document with thousands of pages and you need to go to page 112. Then you can easily hop to that page. Beyond that, this PDF file doesn't really have anything interesting to show besides the last two tabs. The xref is basically just a big index of where all the objects in the PDF file are located. So assuming that we want to jump to object 16, I see that object 16 is here on the left-hand side. It's the contents. It's basically the page description, like the syntax that makes up the page is going to be in the contents. So if you click that, then you see on the left-hand side it pops open as well. If we make the lower panels a bit bigger, then on the left-hand side you'd see a sort of detailed view. In this case, we're highlighting the stream, and down here are the values of the stream dictionary. So the filter that's being used here is flate decode, where the length is 3046. I see that my face is a bit obstructed by the logo of iText. Let me just move it a bit. There we go. So that's basically how RUPS works. On the right hand side down here, you have the stream and the console, the logging information that you may have. So in this case, we highlighted the first page. So down here, you would see the content of the first page. So this is the syntax that prints a page to the screen. And let me see if there's anything legible in here. So for instance, here you see 4 decimal numbers. You see 120, etc., 120, etc., 3000 and 2000. And then RE. RE means to draw a rectangle, and these are the lower left and the upper right corners of the rectangle. So this is, in a nutshell, how RUPS works. So in this case, there is something funny going on the pages, which Tim was trying to extract text, or I believe it was David was trying to extract text, and it seemed to generate an infinite loop. So the first thing to do is to first of all try it out yourself and try to debug, but we're only going to use RUPS because we already know that the issue is reproducible. And going through this page content, you don't really see anything funny going on. There's nothing of any peculiarities going on. You see stuff that you come across in many files. So like BTET here means that it's starting a text block and ending a text block. So nothing of that much interest. Looking into a bit more in depth, you try to open up certain properties of the page, like the boxes and stuff like that. But another thing of note when you're trying to extract text is that you want to look at the X objects. So X objects can be many things. In this case, we're looking at a sort of reusable piece of code, PDF syntax that's going to be reused. If you're a developer, you can consider it very similar to Java code that's being reused in a method. So any code that you see down here can be put inside a X object. The X objects warrant some inspection because they're the only thing that pops out on this page. So as you can see here, the X object is being called twice. The DO operator, it will call an X object. In this case, X object with name X361, and we can find that in the resources under the X object dictionary. And here we see the 361 highlighted. So this X object is being called twice. It's a subroutine. It's code that is being called twice. That's nothing out of the ordinary. That's the purpose they serve actually to reuse PDF syntax. Excuse me. So that's nothing out of the ordinary. But let's take a look inside the X object itself. Inside this X object, you find like the normal stuff, similar to what you found on a page. You find the resources, and you find a filter, which is how to decode this blob of binary bytes, basically. If we look at the syntax of this stream, of this X object, then you'll see something interesting. You'll see some normal operations like manipulating the matrix or setting a graphic state. And graphic states are declared, in this case, in the XG in the graphic state dictionary here. So nothing out of the ordinary. But what we see here is, again, X357 with the DO operator being called. And once more. So looking at 357, again, this is nothing out of the ordinary, but it's something to take note of, that there's this chaining going on of X objects. But again, nothing out of the ordinary. You can reuse reusable parts in reusable parts. So let's take a closer look, because we are calling the same object twice. So something might be going on. So again, in the resources of this X object, let's dive again into the X objects. And there you find something very similar. And this is when last night, looking into this PDF file, I figured something is off with these X objects. Either it's iText or RUPS going to be calculating it incorrectly, because you see very similar information as to the 361 object, the one that we just came from. So you see, for instance, a B box, a bounding box with very similar values, almost they are identical actually. Then the group dictionary is going to contain the same values for transparency and stuff like that. It's a group just built around transparency. So that's a bit strange. I believe the matrix was also very, yeah, they're identical as well. So the only thing that differs between the two is the length of the stream, and the resources being different as well, of course. So this is, yeah, exactly, Matthias. Most of those GS operations are redundant, but in this case, they wouldn't affect any of the crazy things ongoing in this file. Actually, they don't help, but they don't affect the actual outcome, I would say. So going back to the resources stuff, you can see that in this case 353 was also called twice. And opening that one, you see immediately again a very similar dictionary, which is strange, right? So I'm even skipping, like it's calling 349. So at this point, I was just skipping into the X object flow and just seeing the craziness. And at this point, it becomes like an automated reaction, like how deep can we go? We see X objects upon X objects upon X objects. So we can keep on doing this for quite a while, actually. And my colleague Matthias, he wrote a recursive script using iText that basically calculates how deep this goes. And this goes about 24 levels deep. And it's always the same that you see. Well, in this case, it was a bit differently. Let's back up. In this case, 319 is only called once, I believe. Let's check down there. Yeah, so it's only called once. So there is some variation to it. But again, you see X objects being called twice. And again, that's not so strange to see, but in this pattern, it's really odd and peculiar and noteworthy. So the thing is that you're not only like in this case here, you're calling them twice again. Let's back up a bit. Let's back up to the first iteration of this, because it's a bit strange, right? So the first iteration, we have 357. It's being called twice. If we go check out 357, it calls 353 twice as well. But the thing to note is that it calls 353 twice for every call that its parent made to it. I use parent quite liberally in this context, of course. So 369 calls 357 twice, but that one calls 353 twice. Meaning, in practice, 357 will call 353 4 times. 2 times in the first loop right here, and 2 times in this one down here. Going one level deeper, if you go to 353, you'd see that it calls 349 twice. But then again, remember what we just did for 357, right? It's similar to that. So it calls 349 twice for the first call and 349 twice for the second call. So this is per call of 357 that it calls 349 twice. And that was already being called twice from 361, meaning that we're only 2 levels deep and we're already at 8 calls being made to, what was it again, 349. So that goes exponential. And going 24 levels deep means that this isn't being called, well, this is not the 24th level, but I imagine it was. This means that you would call this object 2 to the 24th times. So you can imagine that's a pretty big number. And while it's not infinite, as you may assume, it is a very large number. And for all intents and purposes, it is close to infinity in this case, at least. I mean, you're going to be waiting a long time for this. So do we really need to process X objects to do a text extraction? And unfortunately, we do need to do it. As you can see, there is content inside, like I think it was a previous one, right? There was some content in, yeah, I'm hunting down some stuff. Yeah, there is some content within the X objects in their content streams. So you would need to process them all to, excuse me, to extract text from that. And that's where the issue lays. Any PDF processor, any PDF parser who isn't prepared, or at least doesn't anticipate for this this attack, you could call it an attack, but it's, in this case, it's just negligence and trying to be a bit too smart in their PDF creation process. But yeah, any processor, any parser not prepared for this is going to have a bad time, basically. It's going to spend way too many resources, way too many cycles on just calling the same X subject millions, billions of times. But you do need to do that because there may be text within the X object. In this case, there isn't, but there may be. You don't know until you parse the actual file, the actual X object, basically. So the issue at hand was a strangely constructed X object nested construction, probably to do with the fact that it's HTML to PDF conversion. Let's try to be a bit too smart and just potentially converted all this to X objects for convenience sake. I mean, it's not a strange approach to take. It's a very generic one, but it's yeah, it can lead to a messy situation. Okay, so this is somewhat of a postmortem of the thread yesterday. Feel free to follow me on Twitter right here. My colleague Matthias assisted me as well yesterday in the debugging of it. So that's Matthias Val that you can see right there. As a very coincidental side note, today you can see it here if it loads. Today we released a new project on GitHub. Feel free to check it out as well, and let us know if you find anything. If there's any questions, feel free to post them now. Feel free to grab me on Twitter, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. So maybe as a last link I can give you is the RUPS link. So that is this link. Let me post it in the chat as well, if I can find the chat. There we go. So feel free to try out RUPS. It's an open source tool that you can try to use to debug your PDF files. I hope you learned something from the session today, how to use RUPS to debug your PDF files. Of course, it does require some knowledge on the PDF specification, and you need to understand a bit how PDF files work. But it's a very good entry way of trying to grasp that knowledge. Okay, so if there's no more questions, then I'll be happy to conclude the stream. Thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you in the future on this channel. Bye all. Oh, before I log off. Andre says he was promised some research branch magic. I'll get to that question in a few. Captain Dust also posted a question. I found when viewing this PDF that it seemed fine until page 9, when it froze up in Chrome, etc. Is that because it's a cumulative kind of thing? Well, Captain, yeah, so Matthias just posted the answer. The actual weird object, or at least the construction, was on page 10. The file that was attached to the PDF box, to the Apache ticket, was already a split file. It contained only one page. Not sure if that was obvious from RUPS, but you can see here there's only one page in this file. So whoever uploaded the file to the Apache tracker already removed the unnecessary objects to debug this issue. So Andre, I'm gonna show you some RUPS research branch magic maybe. There is one thing I can show you with it, so you can see this is a research build right here on top. Maybe let me show you exactly what the specific one can do. I haven't built all the branches for this, but so if you are going to try out RUPS, you'll notice that RUPS is a very simple tool, and we are working on, internally at least, expounding on it for a bit. So we are adding a lot of features in the near future, and one of them is having multiple files open. So for instance, excuse me, now we have map.pdf open, and I can just keep on opening PDF files, at least if my computer wants to cooperate. So we have opened, of course, I have opened a document with 1,000 pages. It's not something that I wanted to do. Let me open a 2 kilobyte file. So you can keep on opening files, and it may not seem like, let me open up a few more. It may not seem like a lot, but this is something that is very convenient for us. So you can switch between all of them. It remembers state, like in this one I want to look at the info dictionary. In the Barcelona tickets, we can go to the second page and go back to the other one. It's still on the modification date. So this is just a quality of life improvement that we added. And this is something that's still under development. I want to add some more quality of life features to this. For instance, a clickable X, because now you can close tabs by pressing Ctrl W, or the file close option. You can keep doing that until it's back on the first page. But I want to add some more quality of life features. So Matthias, no, the revamped content stream pane is not part of this build yet. I know you've been working on it, and I think you've merged it to our internal fork, but I haven't rebased my branch yet. But yeah, maybe I could try, but it's probably not gonna work out that well. Maybe let's keep that for a next RUPS session. Maybe you can demo that in the near future. So yeah, so these are just things that we, as developers of iText, as PDF developers, we noticed that using RUPS. So there's a few things that don't work as we would like it to work, or there's improvements that we want to add, and yeah, that's just we're just adding on top of that. So in the near future, we are going to release a few new features on the public version of RUPS. So keep an eye on the space for any RUPS updates. Okay, any more questions? And I do agree, Captain Dusted is very sexy. Okay, well, that said, again, iText /i7j-RUPS for the RUPS download. For the RUP dates, I like RUP dates, maybe we should go with that. And follow us on the @itext Twitter account. Follow us on our personal accounts @MatthiasVal and @MyMilkedEek. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.